Peace and love, family. It's your brother Frank from the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. Welcome to the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. For those who don't know, the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition was started by a former political prisoner, Black Panther Party member, Black Liberation Army member, Sekou Odinga, who did over 33 years in prison. Upon his release, he decided that he was not going to forget those who were incarcerated because of their political views, because of their courage to fight back this oppressive system. They knew that they had to do it because nobody else would do it. So he took a position that was very important regarding how you deal with your current situation. Today is we continue in the spirit of our sisters, our comrade sisters, our Black Panther Party sisters, those who set that incredible image of them fighting back, struggling for our self-determination, declaring that they would not remain on the sidelines as the police officers, the pigs, would assassinate their people and continue in the oppression of our people. But before I get into this discussion, I would like to talk about this weekend's conference. It was Behind the Bars conference. I didn't participate in all the days. I participate in one of the days. This particular day, I was at a table on behalf of the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. The table was provided by Holla, How Our Lives Link All Together. I was there for about 3 hours or so. And while I was there, I got to speak to a number of different people, particularly from, or majority of the people from California. They came up to my desk. They provided their contact. I provided the contact with Reverend Joy Powell, political prisoner. So she understands that they are people who are jumping on her campaign. They are people who have serious concerns about that. But at this conference, I was able to hear the testimony of people who were incarcerated and hear how they transformed their lives. I was very motivated by that. One brother in particular I spoke to, he talked about being actually in prison with Mutulu Shakur. So he provided me his contact. At some point, I'll reach out to him about him coming on to this platform and talking about his experience with Dr. Mutulu Shakur, affectionately known as Doc, in prison. And I think that needs to be talked about. Those who had those experiences behind the bars with Dr. Mutulu Shakur need to be talked to and need to have those discussions, because we can't let those who make their transitions, those who are currently ancestors, be forgotten. People should be able to share their experiences, and our people need to understand the importance of figures like that. So while at Behind the Bars, these moments where was in a position to talk to people about the work of the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition and Holla, that this is why we do it. We do it because our political prisoners should not be forgotten, should be remembered in all that we do, should be a part of the work that we actually do. And that's why when I come on, I'm always providing my contact information, because I'm looking for help, support. You know, we need to increase our numbers. Our organization, the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition, need to increase our numbers. We need to be able to have different people represent the idea of not letting our political prisoners die in prison wherever they're at. They can utilize what they have access to, like community centers. I noticed while reading this book in preparation for today's session, Comrade Sisters, if you don't have it, buy it. If you can't afford to buy it, if you have a library card, do like I did and rent the book. You know, your taxpayer dollars, right? You have a library card. Use that library to get the books, the resources that you need. While reading this book, I noticed that they had George Jackson Free Clinic, and I thought that was very important to name something that we were going to use to serve our people, to reflect on our freedom fighters, our fellow combatants who died on the battlefield. And so that's very inspiring on how I do my work. And I normally I'm in Queensbridge, the biggest housing facility, or rather housing unit in terms of providing for people who need a place to stay. But while I'm there, I'm part of a grievance support group that meets every Thursdays from the hour of 6 to 8. and I do that in the spirit of political prisoners. But I say that to say this, that is not a new action. That when we look at our history, our people were doing that. They were naming programs that they have for the community after their freedom fighters, after their political prisoners, prisoners of consciousness, after their martyrs, people like George Jackson. And I think that, as we do this particular work, we should let people know or remind people that we're out here to do this work because of what was done for us. So today, as we continue the celebration of Women's History Month, it's the reason why we go back in to our history. We want to be inspired by those who set the example for us. People like Afeni Shakur, people like Asada Shakur, people like Joanne Bird, many others who were on the front line, who are not afraid to do this particular work. As I'm reading this book, I continue to get more inspired by it because it's a reminder of what needs to be done. It's a reminder that you have various talents using their talents to do this work. And I have to go to my notes because in order for me to do this work, I have to, make sure I do my research, make sure that I have my notes, my points to properly serve my viewers. So please share with as many people as possible. Let them know about the work of the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. And if you have some talents that can be utilized, if you're good at organizing fundraisers, we could definitely use your support, your participation. So the sisters, the comrade sisters, the Black Panther Party, they was mothers, sisters, aunties, cooks, house cleaners, church goers, middle and high school students of historical Black colleges and universities, teachers, artists, factory, and retail workers, poets, dancers, writers, and musicians. So they came from various backgrounds. They had various talents, and I think that that's very important because that's what you need to run a breakfast program. That's what you need to run a free clinic. That's what you need to do this type of work, to have a sickle cell anemia clinic, to test people for lead poison. You need people of various talents and various commitments. And that's exactly what the sisters represented. I know when I read this book, it said 66% of the Black Panther Party members were females. Definitely, whether it's 66% or 70%, we know for sure that the percentage in terms of overall participants or membership of the Black Panther Party was more than half being women. I think that says a lot about what we're able to do and how that was very important because often we don't reflect on that. We don't talk about that enough. But we know we have to show our sisters enough respect, enough gratitude, and that gratitude has to come through our eternalizing of what we learn regarding our history. So that's very important that we pick up literature that's going to deal with this. I think this is a great book. The pictures that is shown in this book, and it lists I'm pretty sure it's not all of the Black Panther Party sisters, but it's an incredible amount of names that you probably never hear about, but they need to get their recognition. And it's our history, right? Our history we want to protect. The sisters were fighting because they knew that people should not be oppressed, that people should not be denied self-determination. And when we talk about self-determination, we're talking about our right to live on our own terms. And these sisters were very committed to that understanding, that knowledge, and they did their work on a regular, consistent basis. And that itself lets me realize that I'm extremely proud about these sisters and the work that they were involved in, and the fact that they were willing to put themselves on the front line. Just think about what sparked the Black Panther Party. You had Huey P. Newton, you had Bobby Seale coming together to decide that they were going to have to take a definitive position regarding how their people were being treated, that they were going to stand up to police brutality. Huey P. Newton, before the start of the Black Panther Party, studies law for 2 years. That allows him to be qualified to take a position in terms of defending his community, his people, and that is something that when we start dealing with being conscious, we have to really understand that, what is your intentions of being conscious? Are you being conscious because you want to participate in an intellectual discussion and seem like you know exactly what you're talking about, or you're being conscious because you want to know exactly what you need to do, how you need to get it done, why you need to get it done, and what's the result of not getting it done? I think that once we start understanding the importance and the value of being conscious, then we'll be driven to take a definitive position regarding the future of our people and our women, our sisters. They knew what was at stake when they decided that they were going to take a position to fight for our people's self-determination. They knew that they had to protect our community, our people, our nation. They say that you teach a woman, you teach a nation, and I think that that's a very important, powerful statement, because it allows you to understand what's actually at stake. There's this one particular picture right here. There's so many pictures in this beautiful book, this book that celebrates our sisters so adequately. It says sometimes we don't realize how the seeds planted in the 60s and 70s are carried forward instead of around. And that, to me, is very deep and very meaningful, because me being born in 1973, I realized that they were an organized force, people who were determined to stand up and fight for me to have a future that's void of police brutality, void of the struggle of housing, of of clothing and food. They did that for me, for my future, and so I'm grateful. And how should I express gratitude? I one way is to do the work that I'm doing now, participate in an organization, and that's what I'm doing now. And I know there's still more work that I need to do. That I know that I need to make more improvements, and I accept that responsibility. I accept that role, and that's why I make it my business to be on this podcast every Wednesday for half an hour, to reflect that we have to stand up, we have to fight back, we have to be involved in the fight to free our political prisoners, because that's one of the things that, as I look at this book and I observe and I see the sisters holding up posters talking about free Huey. Huey was a political prisoner, right? So what did they do now that we can do? What did they do then that we can do now? They were committed to the idea. They brought the idea to the community. They allowed people to know that name, Huey P. Newton, and the fact that if you're saying free Huey P. Newton, where is he at? Why is he there? Sometimes you hear people saying that they don't make the connection between making people consciousness and fighting for political prisoners. I would challenge that by saying that when you make people aware that there's somebody who has correct ideas, who have correct politics, then you making them curious about that. What are these correct politics, and why should I be concerned, right? Because first of all, you can be a political prisoner, but we have to stand on principle, right? We want people to fight for our freedom, not to be compromised, not for our self-determination to not be compromised. We have to be very serious about that. So that's one of the reasons that we need to take a position when it comes to our political prisoners. And it's not always a popular position, right? Because it requires work, it requires commitment, it requires stamina, and people have other things that they have to do with their time. But fighting for somebody who fought for you should be priority. It should have a position in your life, a position that you are very clear about, right? And that's why we have to make it our business to find time to learn about political prisoners, to write to our political prisoners. They're going to write back. I know that when I finish doing the work at the conference, I made sure that I wrote to Joy Powell. I gave her the information about those people who showed interest, who provided their contact. When I hear from her again, I'll let her know a little bit more about the experiences that I had, because I know, as always, she'll be inspired, she'll be motivated to know that more people are being aware of who she is and why she's there. And they'll feel the necessary to do something about it, to utilize their resources to bring about her freedom, right? Because it's only a matter of time before she comes home. But that's determined or based upon our quality of work. While I'm reading this book, there are a number of people from different places, right? Because the Black Panther Party ideas and examples were spreading in a lot of different places. You know, they had campaigns to make sure people registered to vote. They had campaigns to have community survival programs. I thought that that was very important. You know, what does that mean then? What does that mean today, right? You know, people still struggle for food, clothing, and shelter. I know Sekou Odinga was on a certain platform and he was being interviewed, and he spoke the same things that we go through today is what they were fighting for before, because it all revolves around our right to be self-determined. And those examples that are shown to us when you see a clinic, a picture of a clinic, right? What does that inspire you to do today, right? We have access to our community centers. That's a place where you can actually have something that could test for what people might be going through now, right? We have a number of people in our community that are suffering from diabetes. So a community center could be a place where you could have the Joy Power diabetes clinic, or the Ronald Reed uh, obesity workshop. You know, those are just examples of what we could do when we have access to different things in our community. Like, I come here every Wednesday from the hours of 1 to 1:30 and utilize the space in this community center. And I do that to let you know that, you know, what I have, you could have as well, right? Because it's made for us to be able to control our narrative. Because complaining about problems going on and not making the time to actually do anything, you know, that's not helping the problem, right? That only allows the continuation of the problem, right? We have to make the distinction between entertainment and activism. I know this says 10,000 free full bags of groceries, 10,000. It says a chicken in every bag will be given away at the Black Community Survival Conference. So, and then it says 10,000 sickle cell anemia tests. And I think when you look at that and listen to the type of work that was done, can you imagine how much time that did it take to do that work? How much love they had for their people to actually do that work? You know, just gets me emotional right now thinking about, you know, how that would have to be done, or who were involved in organizing that, and the amount of time that it took. And that's an expression of love, and we must recognize that as something that we should be proud of. Because what's the point of learning about your history? I think the point is so you know what was done for you. How do you show appreciation? What are you willing to do? How much time are you willing to put in to show your appreciation? It's another picture right here, right? It's one thing to see a flyer that says 10,000 bags, but then you actually see sisters filling up the bags, making sure everybody has the same. I think that says a lot about the love, the compassion. You know, while I'm reading the book and I'm going through the book in preparation for today's program, you know, that is what came to mind, right? That's what came to mind in terms of why did people do what they decided to do. When I'm talking about people, I'm talking about the sisters and the Black Panther Party. They decided to do it because they love their people. So a lot of times we hear Black people their own worst enemies, but now when you go back into our history and you go back into what we were doing for each other, and even now, right, you have different organizations that might not get the recognition that they deserve, but yeah, they out there doing the work. So we're not our own worst enemies because that portion of the population does not speak on behalf of all of us. There's those that are organized, those who are committed, those who are not afraid of the consequences of their action, who are sitting in the prison. They're called political prisoners. They're not afraid. We don't refer to them as Black people worst enemies, right? We don't allow them to represent us as a whole, and we should, right? We should control our own narrative. We say, the examples that our political prisoners show, their immense sacrifice is the representation of how Black people feel about each other. And Black people love each other. And this is the evidence. So it's very important that as we do this particular work, as whatever work that you're involved, if you're in the community, serving the community, make sure you let the community know that it's being done on behalf of the sacrifices of our political prisoners. Make time to write to our political prisoners. Make time to get those addresses, right? And donate to an organization that is doing the work. The Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition, we have a campaign that we're putting out, a fundraiser campaign. We're calling on people to donate $10 a month, which is $120 a year. Our PayPal account can be accessed from the website that I'm showing you right now. If you're not able to see the website, it's the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition.wordpress.com. And we have to support our work. We have to make sure that our people is aware of this work that we're doing, because they're sitting on the sideline waiting for others to do this type of work, and not holding yourself personally accountable for doing this work is counterproductive. We have to make time to do this work. We have to get involved. We have to be very serious about this work. There's so many beautiful pictures in this book. It's so much courage that our beautiful sisters were taking when it came to our right to be self-determined. So we have to make it our duty to get involved in this work. Maybe an hour a month, maybe 2 hours a month, maybe several hours a month. Whatever time that you have available, you need to do what is necessary to raise awareness about our political prisoners. As we talk about the examples of our sisters, we have to make sure that we show gratitude through our work. Like, how much time are you putting in to do this type of work? Are you going to a program, right? This is Women's History Month. We should be at a program online, right? We have the luxury of using our phone to actually attend something. We have the ability to control our own narrative by how much time we spend in either developing our own platform or aiding another platform such as this one to be shared by other people. So that's why when I come on, I'm always asking people with talents to aid me in this work. I have a brother by the name of Frank Lang. I appreciate his input, his support. He's offered to do the intro for this show, and that's very meaningful. Is very important that we come together. So I'm calling on those who are listening now, whatever talents you have, just like the talents that our sister have. If you know how to organize a fundraiser, call me 347-679-3936. Let's talk. Let's get together. Let's decide what we're gonna do. I know a powerful musician. I've seen her YouTube channel, and she gave me a decent price. And let's talk about using her wherever we can to raise awareness about political prisoners, to put some money on their books, to let them know that we're doing the work on our end, to let them know that they're not forgotten. And I know in their own words, in their own way, they'll show appreciation, because it's about showing solidarity in practice, right? What is it to know something and not have no action behind it? It's kind of like somebody having a baby and you say congratulations, but yet you don't make no time to give this person something financially, or even if you don't, listen, I don't have no money right now, but I could come to your place and help you prepare for the child that's coming, right? You're showing appreciation that way. You're showing respect through your actions. And that's the same way when it comes to our political prisoners. That's the same way when it comes to our martyrs. What actions are we a part of? What time are we committing to showing appreciation for the sacrifices that they made for us, the immense sacrifices that they made for us? Are we writing to a political prisoner? If we're not, why not? Do we need information about a political prisoner? Because if you're having trouble getting in contact with a political prisoner, or getting the information on a political prisoner, I'm always willing to aid you, assist you. 347 is my phone number. That's my personal cell. I make myself accessible to those who are serious about doing some organized work. 347-679-3936. So I could get you in touch with a political prisoner. If you feel uncomfortable about actually using your own address, I'll provide you with an address that you can use. So whatever challenges you may have, I can meet you there, because I know that I have to be creative when it comes to the work about political prisoners. People raise questions and they want a definition, and I give them a definition. Then sometimes I give them a definition that might be a little bit more simpler, because you want to know who you're talking to, so you don't want to make the idea seem too complex. You want to make it to the point where they understand that, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's relatable. That is actually true. And now I need to decide, what does that mean to me? I've been given an idea. If I unite with the idea, then I obviously going to take a position. I know I was watching Democracy Now, and it was showing in DC how they removed the Black Lives Matters mural that was on the ground for over 4 years. Um, and the conditions was that if the mayor or the person in charge in that particular area didn't follow instruction, that they would be denied funds. So we're being reminded of the the fact that we have people victories happen, but people who are not united with that, people who are in power to go against our victories, are going to do something to set us back, or at least attempt to set us back. But that's why history is so important, right? That's why you want to record your history. You want to document your history. You want to take pictures of your history, your victories. You want to remind yourself and the people who are existing now and who will exist after your time is over, that you don't have to just stand for anything, that you have to stand up for something. You need to identify what's happening now and how you relate to it in terms of accepting it or not. And once you decide that you're not going to accept it, then you commit yourself to organized action, just like the sisters did in the Black Panther Party. They were involved in the clinics. They were involved in the preparation of the meals. They were involved in the schools, and that let us exist in terms of that way as long as we could, right? And that examples is documented by us as we see these powerful, important pictures that I just showed you being displayed. We know that, it was because of our beautiful Black strong sisters and those who supported them outside of the organization, who had solidarity with them, who reminded them that they were not alone, that they had supporters, they had sympathizers, and they had those who actually had solidarity. A sympathizer may give you some money, a person with solidarity is going to join you, and that means a lot. So that being said, this episode is going to come to a close. I just want to thank those sisters who were on the front line. There were so many names presented in the beginning of this book. For each and every sister that put on that Black Panther Party uniform, I say thank you, and may my commitment to our continued liberation struggle be a testament of my me being thankful, of me showing gratitude, right? So y'all know the call, free them all. Don't let political prisoners be forgotten. Don't let political prisoners die in prison. Peace.